All right, in this problem, we're going to take a look at 7x over 8 minus the quantity of 8v minus 4 all over the quantity of 5v minus 2. Anytime I subtract fractions, I need to have a common denominator. Notice that in this case, I do not. So I have this factor of 8 down here. I don't have a factor of 8 over here. And notice I can't factor anything out of this 5v minus 2. So let's multiply the top and the bottom by 8 on this side. And whenever I multiply by this 8, I need to make sure I distribute that 8. And over here, I have the 8, but I don't have 5v minus 2. So on this side, I need to multiply both the top and the bottom by 5v minus 2. I don't want to change the value of these fractions. Multiplying by 5v minus 2 over 5v minus 2 is just the same thing as multiplying by 1. So I'm not changing the value here. I'm just changing what it's going to look like. The denominator part's going to be easy. It's just, and you can distribute that if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So this will just be 8 times 5e minus 2 on both of these. So notice that part's taken care of. I got the common denominators. Now you do want to distribute up here because we're going to have to combine like terms on the next step. So 7v times 5v would just be 35v squared. 7v times negative 2 is minus 14v. And over here, distribute this 8. 8 times 8v would be 64v. And 8 times this negative 4 would be minus 32. And I'm subtracting the quantity, so I got to be careful here. I need to make sure I distribute that negative. So let's just rewrite this as subtracting the quantity. This is 35v squared minus 14v minus this grouping, minus that quantity. So I have 64v minus 32. So distribute this negative. And if you want to, you can think of this as kind of like being a negative 1 out front here. You can think of this as distributing negative 1 if you're confused on that step. So this will be 35v squared minus 14v minus, so negative 1 times 64v would be negative 64v. So I'm just going to write minus 64v. Negative 1 times negative 32 would be plus 32. So I'm just going to write that. And that denominator stays the same. And from here, let's just see if I have anything in terms of like terms, anything I can combine here. So I have this 35v squared, but I have nothing else with v squareds. I have a negative 14v and a negative 64v. Those I can combine. So I have 35v squared. Negative 14 and negative 64. Well, that would be add 10, negative 74, another 4. So this would be negative 78v plus 32. And I have 8 over the quantity 5v minus 2. And I think we're done. Sometimes when you do these problems, they may ask you for domain restrictions. I've just been kind of focusing on this process, but the denominator can't be 0. So anything that would make the denominator 0 in terms of plugging in a value for v here, you want that to be excluded. So with this, you want to take 5v minus 2, set it equal to 0 and solve, and you would get v would be 2/5. So our one domain restriction is that v cannot equal 2/5. Let me take a second here and just write that. So v can't equal 2/5.